The window is farther away than it was yesterday. You know this before you've even sat up in bed, because the edge of sunlight that always hits your face in the morning is gone. Your body stirs anyway, as though your brain hasn't told it yet. Muscle memory reaching for a coffee mug that isn't near. The sheets stick to your skin, damp with sweat like always, the room clutching its faint chill despite the thermostat's orange lie. Your knees hit the edge of the mattress, grounding yourself. Beneath your bare feet, the laminate flooring feels cooler than usual, smoother, slick. You glance toward the window, where pale gray light fights through the murky panes. It looks farther away, doesn't it? A trick of perspective? But how? The bed, set obliquely in the center of the room, casts a shadow that twists sideways toward the outward shifted wall. Your chest tightens. It's not fear, not exactly, just misalignment. Too early for this kind of thought. You shake your head as you stumble toward the bathroom. You reach for the doorframe, but you miss it. Somehow. When did the door move? The cool synthetic paint doesn't meet your fingertips where they've instinctively reached out. Not right away. Your body adjusts, compensating for those few inches you can't account for. The thought comes up unbidden, slippery and black. This is wrong. This is new. The coffee machine buzzes louder than usual, or maybe the room itself amplifies the sound. You aren't sure. Steam curls up in pale tendrils as you lean against the counter, gently pressing 4 fingers flat against its surface. One of your rituals, a test for the tangible. It's solid. That much you're certain of. And yet, you step back, squinting. Did the counter always have this much distance to the fridge? You check your pace, walking the span like a child measuring a puddle. Too many steps, too more than your brain says it should take. You try it again, same result. You aren't imagining this. The air turns thicker here, heavy against your skin, like walking into an unlit basement. Breathing tastes metallic, sour around the edges, though the residue is faint. You set down your cup. It lands with a sharp clink that reverberates too long, too loud. You could be tired. People hallucinate when they're tired. Besides, it's impossible, right? Measurements don't lie. You grab the small tape measure from the junk drawer. Retrace the room with quiet steps, awkwardly weaving around your furniture because was the little dining table always this far from the couch? Couldn't have been. You don't remember moving anything. Each pass of the tape confirms it. No doubt remains. You cross out yesterday's numbers in the notebook you keep by the drawer and scribble new measurements in their place. 11.5 feet instead of 10. 4 steps instead of 3. Not hallucination. The space is growing. The apartment is growing. Your pen hovers, your breathing halts. You grab your old tape measure from the shelf, an almost ridiculous tool for sanity, and stretch it across the room. Its shallow metallic clicks echo against the walls, thin and sharp. Your fingers are clumsy, stuttering over the stiff tape as you work it across the floor. You're already sweating, though it isn't warm. It hasn't been warm in here for days. The pale yellow of the tape measure contrasts against the floorboards, a streak of color against a muted world. The hook at the end catches on the far wall. You pull slowly, pausing to let the numbers resolve into focus under the flickering fluorescent overhead. 15 feet. No, it can't be. You remember it, clear as your own name. It was 10 feet 2 inches when you moved in. You release the latch, the tape zinging back into its housing with a snap that makes you flinch. You hadn't dropped it, but your hand feels as weak as it did in the childhood dream where the hallway stretched beyond reason and your legs were nothing but cement. You put the numbers in your notebook. 15-0 flat. Yesterday it was 11-6. The notebook paper trembles slightly as you write. The walls seem to lean in, or are they leaning out? You put a hand on the plaster, running your fingertips along it. It feels wrong. Not cold as expected, but almost hot. Hot, then cool, then gritty with uneven patches of paint like the wall itself is growing its own skin. You pull your hand back sharply. A fleck of white paint clings to your palm like it doesn't belong. You move to the hallway. You measure again, floor to ceiling, end to end. Paint flecks drift onto your sweater as the tape clicks shut again. It's all longer. 3 more inches here, 5 more over there. The edges of the room seem to shudder in your peripheral vision, as though shrinking back from your intrusion. But when you whip your head to catch it in the act, nothing's changed. The bathroom feels off the moment you step inside. Not unfamiliar, but wrong, like it's a poor imitation of memory. Your toothbrush is on the floor, rolled into the far corner near the drain. You'd put it back in the holder last night. You know this because you stared at your own reflection too long after brushing, frowning at the gray hollows under your eyes. Picking it up, you notice faint scratches on the tiles where it lay, spirals of grooves too deliberate to be accidental. You crouch, running your fingertip over them, circular. The ridges dig hard and sharp into the grout like nails had been dragged across it. You jerk your hand away again. It's too quiet, the oppressive kind of silence that presses down on the ears. You're about to stand when you hear it. A faint trickle. Water? You whirl. The faucet is still. The echo lingers, though, so faint you feel it more than hear it. You can taste the metallic tang of moisture in the air. There is no water here. This can't be possible. Your toothbrush, now back in its holder, seems to slump slightly as though wilting under your gaze. You hesitate at the door, your hand hovering over the knob as you try to dispel the growing paranoia within you. Just open it. Prove to yourself that you can leave. When your fingers finally close over the brass, it feels wrong, sticky, like it hasn't been polished in years. You have to force it to turn. It grinds against its mechanism, reluctant to budge, and then it stops entirely. The door doesn't open, it's not locked, the deadbolt isn't engaged, and the keyhole offers no resistance. It's just blocked. You press your shoulder against it harder until the pressure digs into your collarbone painfully. Still nothing. The frame around the door warps subtly, an almost imperceptible bending inward as if the walls are swallowing it. The air thickens just here, in this corner. It's denser, like it's trying to pin you back. You feel watched. The urge to turn around takes hold, but if you do, what will you see? You cave, spinning on your heel. Nothing. Your living room stares back. Your chest relaxes slightly, though your nerves don't catch up. That's when you see it. Impossible, but inarguable. The window wasn't there before. You blink. It's too high, almost brushing the ceiling. Narrow and rectangular, its edges framed in dark, odd molding with an ugly texture like burned wood. Behind the stretched, grimy glass lies a view of what? Beyond the window, a cityscape smeared in faint orange light stirs like a living organism. The skyline shifts unnaturally as if caught in heat waves. It's not your city. It takes you several nerve-wracking seconds to admit it, but it's true. The horizon doesn't match. There are no sprawling billboards or neon lights, just jagged black buildings fighting through an eternal dusk, as if the sun had just died and nobody told the sky. It's something other. You blink harder. The window is still there. You're sure the crack on the left wall wasn't there yesterday, and with every second you stare, it widens. No sound accompanies the shift, no groan of stressed drywall, no crumble of plaster, just a silent, jagged line that darkens as it grows, its edges feathered like torn paper. And then it stops. Stops expanding, stops changing, as if it's watching you back. You step closer, pulse hammering against your ribs. The crack isn't just a split in the wall, it's depthless. As you near, a faint light flickers from within, and colorless, yet too bright to ignore. The fluorescent bulb above your head buzzes violently, its stuttering illumination chasing fractured shadows along the floor. You reach out, unwilling but compelled, fingertips trembling in the chilled air. The moment your hand grazes the edge, the crack blooms, blossoming into a doorway taller and wider than the wall could possibly contain. Visual, the doorframe pulses as shifting light seeps from it, throwing warped silhouettes across the room that don't match the furniture. Behind you, the low hum returns, ominous, omnipresent. It vibrates through your chest, up your spine, resonating in your teeth. A flicker of air draws you forward. It tastes metallic, acrid. A faint whispering rises, barely audible, a language you do not know but feel crawling behind your ears. You want to back away, but your feet shuffle toward it. Just look, a voice whispers, but it doesn't come from the growing space. It emerges from the back of your own mind. No, it is your mind, a thought you didn't invite. You open your mouth to resist, to counter it, but the sound that emerges doesn't feel like yours. Inside the jagged frame, space curls and stretches like it's breathing. The corridor beyond defies recognition, a warped funhouse hallway lined with fractured glimpses of places that never existed, and some that did. Your mother's basement walls. The narrow staircase from the home you lived in when you were 8. The cold white tiles from the break room in your first office job. You don't remember walking this far, yet the hallway keeps stretching ahead. The air is grainy and stagnant, heavier than before. The soles of your feet drag across the floor, where the linoleum is cracked but soft, like rippling skin instead of tile. You won't look down. You can't. At intervals, doors line the walls, some flat and ordinary, others anachronistic. Dark wood and brass door knockers sever the sterile atmosphere with violent contrast. Behind you an echo rings, the sound of your own hand tapping instinctively on the wall, growing muffled, then faint, then obliterated by more of that low, thrumming hum. One door stands ajar, its shadow falling sharply across your path. You know you shouldn't. You do it anyway. The room inside doesn't match the geography of your apartment, or the hallway. It impossibly expands upward, the ceiling vanishing into void-like darkness. Yet it's full. Shelves hewn from a deep red wood line the walls. On them, items you forgot existed. A childhood photo, its frame slightly bent. A red Velcro shoe, tattered relic of a summer spent barefoot on playground asphalt. A stuffed animal with one eye missing, limbs stained and stiff. The bear is the first thing you recognize. A graveyard of knotted fur and dark stains. You threw it away when you were 10. Buried it, actually. Under your mother's hydrangeas because of the nightmares. It started calling your name when no one was around. Didn't it? You kneel in front of the bear anyway, heart rattling in your chest. When you reach for it, the fur on its remaining ear feels warm. Too warm. Your hand recoils as a faint vibration hums through its body, through you. Not a stuffed animal anymore, some part of your mind murmurs. Something born along with this place. You lurch to your feet, the air suddenly thicker, tighter. Outside, the hallway stretches on. You stay with your back to the bear as you shuffle through the doorframe. You think you catch movement behind the stuffed animal. You don't look. The farther you go, the less there is. The hallway seems to devour itself, space contorting and unfurling in slow, twisted pulses. Greasy wooden paneling merges into smooth hospital white walls. Doorknobs swell grotesquely or recede into the surfaces. Visual, the proportions break, corners tilt and elongate, a single flickering light fixture casting impossible quadrilateral shadows across the ceiling. Ahead is another door, swung open just enough to taunt you. No light leaks from behind it, only cold air heavy with moisture. A new sound emerges, just barely audible under the hum, the faint plink of water falling. From where? Your hand shakes against the knob as you pull it open. Inside stretches the hallway. The same hallway you just emerged from, identical, yet different. The furniture, the shadows, they're in the wrong place. Or maybe you are. But this isn't repetition. No, the air here is colder, filthier. The light burns sharper, like broken glass scarring your retinas. And far, far ahead, you can't tell how far, the passage expands. It widens exponentially, warping as though it passes through a lens. A doorway barely visible at the end, impossibly distant, radiates movement. Something rushes, seething back and forth, too dark to hold shape, too quick for recognition. Your hand grips the frame as your knees nearly buckle. You can't go farther. But there's nowhere else left to turn. This isn't a home anymore. It's a labyrinth feeding off your fragility, and the realization shakes you to the core. The walls breathe, not like a metaphor, but as though the drywall itself inhales and exhales, expanding, contracting, bulging out in ways that warp the corners of your vision. The floor tilts. The horizon of the space curves inwards, swallowing the edges, a slope where flatness used to be. You stumble forward because there is,